there has been, the city's government study committee has presented proposed changes to the city charter. Some of those, some of the bigger proposed changes include granting the mayor more powers, including veto power, the authority to nominate city manager, city clerk, city attorney upon subject to council's approval, and other things. Other changes include designating the mayor and council to determine the salary of elected officials, prohibiting the mayor and council from taking action on salary or benefits between election day and the first meeting in January. A couple of years ago, there was an uproar over a proposal to increase salaries of the mayor and council to be more competitive with cities of its size, but nothing came of that proposal. Do you think the mayor and council should be able to determine their salaries? Do you think the current pay of $2,100 for council members and $3,000 for mayor is appropriate? And how do you feel about other proposed changes to the city charter? We will start with Ms. Tanner.
Last in, first out.
I'll tell you the truth, I guess he started with the right one, since I was the one who took the biggest hit in regards to this matter of salary increases for the mayor and council. And as everyone knows, I favored an increase for the mayor and council members. I think we just went about it at unpopular time when it was brought up. But anyway, yes, I do favor. And I think the law also allows the mayor and council to set their compensation. I would favor an increase. And I'm sorry, what was the other part of that?
Any other considerations of the proposed changes to the city charter?
Okay, there was a committee that was formed by the mayor to look at the charter. There were parts of the charter that council members had concerns about even prior to this committee being formed. We are looking at the recommendations that have been given to us by this committee. We're looking at them very objectively and with an open mind, and I would assume that in the very near future, action will be taken upon those recommendations, but I'm not ready to say at this particular point in time as to what that action will be. But I can say that we are looking at it. We do appreciate the hard work and time that this committee put into this charter, revisions and considerations, and as I've always said, I go into anything with an open mind and objective mind, and that's the way I view this document.
Thank you very much. And just to let you know, we are going that straight down the list, and I'm going right back up, so it just happened that way.
That's very close.
Mr. Huffman, please.
Well, once again, there are a lot of things in this recommendations that's been put forward. First of all, there were some great people, hardworking people, spent a lot of time in study, and well-qualified people to look into the recommendations. They did a great deal of study going out to other cities throughout the state, and possibly even outside the state. I don't know that. But it took months for them to put this together. Obviously, with those type of people in committee working as hard as they did, there's got to be a great deal of good in there. I have not been privileged to read the document, so obviously I've not read it. I guess I'm going to have to hold back and say that I'm for it or against it. My guess is there are a lot of things in there that I'm for, and there are probably some that I'm opposed to.
Thank you very much. Mr. Goodwin.
Yes, I also want to thank the committee that were people that were on this, that worked so hard. I know they had many, many hours. I received several phone calls asking what I thought about different things. And as Ms. Tanner said, we had actually started approaching this 2 or 3 years ago. We brought someone in from GMA, also brought an attorney in from GMA, because we had things with our charter and our code that did not match up, and we were trying to make sure that they were equal and right. And so there are some things in there that are questionable, but for the most part, I think we approve of them and we're going to go along with. But, you know, we haven't studied it that long, we haven't had that long to actually look at it, so we will be doing it in depth. And as far as the matter of compensation, you know, there's an old adage that you get what you pay for, and sometimes when you look at our pay, I don't think that's quite the same. I know that we are one of the lowest paid councils and mayor in the state of Georgia. And I know personally, and I know all my counterparts have spent thousands of hours each year. It's not just meeting on Monday night and, on Thursday night, the first and third of each week, each month.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goodman, I appreciate it. Mr. Grant, please.
On the issue of compensation, I will argue that none of us are up here because we want the big paying salary of the city council. I was part of the government study committee. One of the things we did look at salaries for surrounding cities of our size and equal, and Canton salaries for councilmen and mayor are pretty embarrassing. However, I'm not in favor of raising salaries at this time when we're in huge financial debt, but I do believe it should be reviewed going forward. As far as the charter committee, again, I was part of the Blue Ribbon Committee. There were many of us who spent countless hours, months looking at other charters. I would encourage everyone in this room, every resident in Canton, to review our city charter. What we found, it was full of mistakes, inaccuracies, and just really left a lot of gray area for things to be interpreted. That doesn't mean that currently that causes issues, but it can cause really functional issues in how our city council functions and how our local government functions. So I'm in favor of the changes being reviewed, not rubber stamped, as things have been done in the past, but reviewed line by line and given the full consideration with respect to the intention with which the recommendations were made.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stoker, please.
I am opposed to the mayor and the council getting to decide on their salary. We see what happens when they do that in D.C. Salary can get out of control. That being said, $2,100 a month is probably
A year.
Is less than minimum wage, so I do agree that it is too low. Personally, I would probably donate my $2,100 salary to charity. It's more of an aggravation, isn't it, Pat, to do your taxes to take the $2,100. As far as the charter, I would consider line by line reviewing it. No document other than, I guess, the Ten Commandments needs to be revised. So I guess any other document should be considered for revision.
Thank you very much. Ms. Rose.
Thank you. As far as the salaries, I do not think at this time the city should be considering raising the salaries of the council members and the mayor. I don't think we're financially stable enough to do that. And as far as the other question, I believe that the government study group did a really nice job. We appreciate all the hours and the time they put into this. They devoted their own time. They got no pay for this. I think they have made some great recommendations, and I think we're still reviewing that. We're making a decision on that very soon.
Thank you. And Mr. Cummings.
First, let's address the charter. The charter, as I see it, is an evolving document. Times change, the charter evolves. We've had a committee of 15, I believe, people put together a great effort. If we can, as a council, under home rule, make that change and adopt the charter, my suggestion would be to adopt that charter, because anything that's not current or not correct in that charter, the same adoption council has the right to change it at a future date. Going to your specific questions about the mayor's power, you mentioned veto. Well, that veto power I am in favor of, and I'll tell you why. because the council can sit down today and vote for something and have no real citizen input. With a veto power, all that does is delay the final vote by one meeting. So I'm in favor of that. In terms of the compensation, I don't believe that the council itself should vote its own pay. I have seen in other
Thank you very
organizations.
much, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.